Hello and welcome to another HR bothering episode of TechSpert Weekly, the only weekly tech news show that's been medically proven to cause piles. And this week we stroke our magic orbs and peer longingly at the upcoming OPPO Find X9 Ultra before IQs are lowered to room temperature levels as we dive into yet another sack of viewer comments. Jingle me. TechSpert Weekly. Now every year OPPO introduces an Ultra smartphone to its flagship lineup, and every sodden year us Brits get left out in the cold, somewhat aptly. But in 2026 OPPO finally actually appears to be showing us some mercy, because the Find X9 Ultra will apparently be launching globally at the same time as it launches over in China and hopefully Europe, and us lot in Blighty are included. Now this has actually been confirmed by OPPO's top trouser himself, Pete Lau, on everyone's favourite shouty hate chamber X. The big date is April the 21st, less than 2 weeks away now, and public opinion is, well, it's bloody X, isn't it? You could literally post on there about rescuing a dozen adorable puppies from a burning building and still get branded an absolute frothing f***hole. The leaked images so far show that the camera bump has expanded into a bulge worthy of King Kong's thong. And it's not just for show either, because OPPO has apparently upgraded those optics with the fresh new 200meg Sony Lytia 901 sensor, a rather sizable 1/1.12 inch jobby that Vivo also just slapped inside of its immense X300 Ultra. And I spaffed out a lovely wee video on that Mega Vivo just yesterday, so you can see for yourself just how impressive that hardware is, especially for night photography as well. I took some of these when I was absolutely f***ing wasted, and they still turned out pretty decent. Although of course you can expect slightly different processing smarts on the OPPO Find X9 Ultra when that finally emerges, so it'll be good to see what the difference is between these two, do a proper comparison. And before you ask, yeah, I'll probably do it if I can be asked. And word is the Find X9 Ultra's 3x telephoto shooter is also getting an upgrade to a 200meg sensor. This one also a pretty spacious 1/1.28 inches, so again you can expect some decent low light snaps when you zoom on in. However, those web whisperings also reckon that the 6x telephoto sensor may have actually shrunk slightly in size versus the previous gen, while that 50meg ultra wide angle shooter remains the same. But outside of the camera tech, what other upgrades can we expect from the OPPO Find X9 Ultra? Well, for one, apparently the battery capacity has been boosted to 7050 mAh, which is actually a wee bit smaller than the 7500 mAh battery of the Find X9 Pro model, but hey, still more than big enough to put some other Ultra phones to shame. And apparently boasts a bit of 100 watt wired charging and 50 watt wireless charging support. Tasty. And of course it wouldn't be an Ultra phone without the most Ultra chipset right now, that Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, which has powered a whole host of the most impressive smartphones of 2026 thus far. And hopefully that'll be accompanied by some proper cooling tech to keep this phone nice and frosty when you're punching whatever these bloody things are into a proper nasty pulp, just to relieve some of that lingering anger that's built up in your belly from not getting enough hugs as a child. And the rest of the specs seem to be pretty similar, if not identical, to last year's Find X8 Ultra. And that includes a whopping great 6.82 inch OLED screen with 2K resolution, and slightly bigger than OPPO's Pro model, and no doubt more pleasing to the eye than Ryan Gosling stroking a whole heap of fluffy puppies. And speaking of eye pleasure, this sexy tech is all wrapped up in a unique looking aluminium frame with what appears to be a split leather style back. It's also exciting the blood has well and truly drained from my skull, but what do you reckon? On the ever popular Weevil scale, is this mighty blower as attention grabbing as a giraffe weevil, as mesmerising as a polka dotted clown weevil, or as generally unpleasant as the bird poop weevil? A beetle which quite literally looks like shit. Well, let us know your own weevil rating down in the comments below. And now it's time for the part of the show that's only mildly less irritating than slamming your knob in a car door. Sadly a common affliction if your hobby, like mine, is naked joyriding. It's viewer comments. Viewer comments.
Why?
Why? Because we f***ing can! Because we
can, and if we can, we do.
So let's kick off this week with Call Me a Kays, who says that intro was diabolical. Yeah, sadly I seem to have rather unfortunately angered a few people with my Easter greetings in the previous episodes. One gentleman has kindly pointed out a factual error that I made when I stated that Jesus was the best beardy magician since Gandalf, because apparently, and I did not know this, practicing magic is actually considered a sin in mainstream Christianity as it's seen as an occult practice. So I guess that means that Paul Daniels must be currently languishing in hell, having his bollocks slapped around with a fiery ping pong bat. The utter fiend. Kasinga Pamai says, "Man, you drink a lot. I love it. We should be friends." No problem, as long as you're quite strong, because the only requirement for being my drinking buddy is basically being able to drag my unconscious form from the pub to my driveway. Fair word of warning before you commit to this role, though, I do tend to get rather moist when I've had a few beverages. Not because I've pissed myself or anything, I mean that might happen, but I usually just tend to get a bit of a sweat on when I've had a few pints of bitter. This might be rather slippery. Fathead Dave says, "Uncle Spurt's head looking suspiciously more like an egg today." Oh, how timely, just for good old Easter. I have had it pointed out to me in the past that my general head region does resemble the ovulated expulsions of the American dipper or the downy woodpecker, as I guess their eggs must be quite pale and oddly shaped. So I guess those particular birds must have rather uniquely shaped vaginas. Dave Heron says, "Daylight brobbery." Very good. This lad knows. Your username here too says, "I come here to learn British English." To which old Jota replies, "It ain't English, it's Mackem." I have had similar comments in the past as well, which to me, it just defies all logic. It's kind of like watching Mrs. Brown's Boys to learn about comedy, or watching that Ed Sheeran documentary to learn about how not to be an annoying MPT on the subject of the next week jingle says, "I need a choir version. Happy Easter Spurty one." I'm not sure if I could really be bothered to assemble an entire choir together to sing literally a 3-second jingle. Never mind how much I'd probably have to pay the buggers. Maybe I can just get a school choir to do it for free. Child labour for the win. iPostays says, "I'm not really into anime, but I've been watching the One Piece live-action adaptation, and although it's made by the boring, greedy bastards of Netflix, it seems rather funny and entertaining, with a pinch of that over-the-top action of the animated original." Yeah, to be fair to them, they've done a bloody good job with that adaptation, especially given just how mental that anime is, and it's been a bloody long time since I've watched the anime, and I'm yet to watch season 2 of the live action adaptation. But yeah, they've done a pretty good job of condensing, I think it was like 50 episodes worth of anime into like 10 of the live action first series. Etienne Sharp says, "I live in Edinburgh, Chris, so for haunted and grim pubs you could try out the Banshee Labyrinth just off the Royal Mile. It's not great, but it is dark and spooky." Yes, I have heard of this one. It has been recommended to me. Apparently, if you want to listen to ear-bleedingly loud metal music in a rather moist, confined space, breathing in the stank of fellow alcoholics, it's the one to go for. And frankly, that sounds right up my alleyway, so I'll definitely give that a go. And Etienne continues, "For actually good pubs, you got the Brass Monkey on Drummond Street. There's a cinema with reclining couches / beds in the back." Beds in a pub, I mean, that does sound kind of dreamy, but I can only imagine how crusty those bed sheets get. Although, hey, I'm already well used to sleeping with sheets absolutely soaked through with booze and peppered with shards of pork scratchings. Next up, Lawrence says, "A Chihuahua's stiffy." I swear to God, every time I say Chihuahua out loud, it just sounds wrong. Chihuahua. 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 No. And on the subject of MacBooks being a soggy sack of arse excretions, Beardy Longhair says, "If you're looking for a MacBook Neo review, it's not a laptop, it's an iPhone 17 with a keyboard. Job done." A considerably more succinct and no doubt less sweary version of what my review would have been. And Runo says, "I will never use a micro slop laptop." I've got to admit, Windows is doing a remarkably good job of trying to be just as annoying as macOS lately. Especially if you're reviewing multiple laptops like myself. I just absolutely adore how it now takes about 5 weeks to set the f***ers up. No, I don't want to share any diagnostics with Microsoft. No, I don't want a 7-week trial of Office. And no, I don't want to be chained up in Bill Gates' sex dungeon and forced to eat cream buns in a highly suggestive manner for his gratification. And Mythic Sun's with a solution, though. If you're feeling really daring, you can always give Linux a shot. I have messed around with Linux on the Steam Deck, of course, and a few other devices across the ages, but honestly these days, mate, I just want an easy life. Back when I was a nerdy kid with far too much time on my hands, I would happily pore over a massive chunky DOS manual or two just to try and get the likes of Dune 2 running on my clunky old 386. Whereas these days, bloody hell, I'd probably be too drunk to even focus on the pages. And Plunder 1956 says, since you've had the dubious kidney rupturing joy of carrying and using almost every current phone format in existence, often 2 at once, have you ever lived with a fold-in blower as your main phone? And if so, did it drive you to more drink? I absolutely have stuck my SIM in all of those big boys. Sorry, that sounded unexpectedly horny. And I do really like them, but yeah, I mean, they are incredibly niche, has to be said. The main reasons I love having that proper big internal screen to hand when needed is reading comics, first of all, which is just too awkward on a regular smartphone screen, especially when your peepers are as old and janky as your Uncle Spurts. And it's also really handy for doing work type stuff when I'm stood up on a train. I can't actually use a laptop. And also really good for porn, again, when I'm stood up on a train and can't use a laptop. And again, I'd just like to point out, most people absolutely do not need and wouldn't get the most benefit out of a massive foldable smartphone. But if I could use any phone I wanted like full time, because, you know, I didn't have a dozen other smartphones lined up waiting for review, or, you know, I was MKBHD and had a whole bunch of drooling minions going off doing all the actual work for me, then I probably would choose something like the OPPO Find N6, which I absolutely love. To definitely go check out my video of that if you haven't done already. It's so much fun to use. The battery life's still excellent, performance is great, camera tech's fantastic as well. Usually you have to sacrifice something with these full-sized foldables, but they're getting to the point now where they're just as good as regular flagships. Shakrabani says, just imagine if Microsoft kept going with their Duo phones. Yeah, I mean, it was, you know, pretty decent hardware. Certainly, once again, good for the multitasking shenanigans, if not quite as good for reading graphic novels and the rest, because it was 2 screens basically sort of stuck together. But yeah, unfortunately, on that first phone, the software experience was absolute bollocks, which made the whole thing about as fun as bobbing for dog shit. So if they just skipped that first one entirely, just released the second one instead, then maybe it would have actually sold alright. And what could have been, eh? And we are bang out of time, so better make this the last one for the week. And it's Jay Vincent who says, can you check out next the leaks for the Sony Xperia 1 Mark 8? It's kind of disturbing the Xperia community. Thanks. Now, you know what? You got it, buddy. The plan is to do the Xperia 1 Mark 8 on the very next show. And hey, speaking of the next show... Next week, what the f*** is next week? Yes, the next show, unfortunately, isn't going to be next week, so just disregard that jingle. It's complete bollocks. I am going to be away for a good chunk of next week, mostly on a drinking rather than a work capacity, for a change as well, so huzzah. So yes, no TechSpert Weekly next week. We are back to being TechSpert when I can be asked. But I've still got plenty of horny tech shenanigans coming at you as well. My SIM has been slipped inside the Galaxy A57 these past few days, hoping to bring you my full review of that at the very start of next week. A couple other tasty treats for you fine folk as well. So a massive thanks again for watching this shower of to the bitter end. Please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell if you haven't done already, and make sure you have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful weekend. Cheers everybody, love you.